There comes a moment in life when Allah does not explain, He does not warn again, He does not wait for you to feel ready. He simply withdraws permission to stay. If you've been feeling restless for no clear reason, if places that once felt safe now feel heavy, if your heart has already left, but your body is still standing, this is not confusion. This is not anxiety. This is a command. According to Ibn ʿArabi, when Allah finishes a phase of your life, He does not destroy it, He releases you from it. And when that release comes, staying is no longer patience. It becomes resistance. If Allah said, pack your bags, this video is not information. It is timing. Stay. 1. Allah ends phases before you understand them. One of the most unsettling truths Ibn ʿArabi teaches is this: clarity often comes after obedience, not before it. The human mind wants explanations, timelines, and reassurance. But divine wisdom does not wait for intellectual comfort. When Allah decrees that a phase of your life has fulfilled its purpose, the decision is final, whether your emotions are ready or not. Many people mistake this moment for confusion or anxiety. In reality, it is the soul receiving a command before the mind has caught up. Ibn ʿArabi explains that the soul exists closer to divine knowledge than the intellect. It senses completion long before logic can articulate it. This is why you may feel restless in places that once felt safe, or emotionally distant from roles, habits, or people that once defined you. Nothing went wrong. The phase simply expired. Allah does not end phases out of impatience. He ends them out of precision. Every chapter of your life is designed to extract something specific from you: humility, patience, strength, clarity, surrender. Once that extraction is complete, remaining longer does not deepen the lesson, it corrupts it. What once refined you can begin to harden you. What once taught you reliance can turn into attachment. This is when divine wisdom intervenes and closes the chapter quietly but decisively. Ibn ʿArabi warns that insisting on understanding before moving is one of the ego's most subtle traps. The ego says, explain it to me, then I'll obey. The soul says, I recognize the command, even if I don't understand it yet. When Allah ends a phase, He is not asking for analysis. He is asking for trust. Delay at this moment is not caution, it is resistance. This is why the ending often feels abrupt. You are still emotionally invested, but the divine permission has been withdrawn. Baraka leaves first. Ease disappears next. What once flowed now feels heavy. These are not punishments, they are signals. According to Ibn ʿArabi, Allah removes spiritual nourishment from what has finished its role. So the seeker does not mistake familiarity for guidance. If you feel confused, unsettled, or strangely detached from what once felt central to your life, do not rush to fix the feeling. Sit with it. That discomfort is not chaos, it is transition. Allah is not dismantling your life. He is closing a chapter that has already given you what you needed. Understanding will come later. Movement is required now. When Allah ends a phase before you understand it, He is teaching you the deepest lesson of all. Faith is not built on explanations, but on recognition of the one who commands. 2. What feels like loss is often a release. According to Ibn ʿArabi, one of the greatest illusions of the human experience is the belief that loss always means deprivation. In reality, many losses are not removals at all. They are unbindings. They are moments when Allah loosens what has quietly tied itself around your soul. The pain you feel when something ends is often mistaken for evidence that it was meant to last. Ibn ʿArabi challenges this assumption. He teaches that pain can also arise when attachment outlives purpose. The The soul senses freedom approaching, while the ego clings to what once provided identity, comfort, or certainty. That tension feels like loss, but it is actually separation from excess weight. There are things that serve you only for a season. They shape you, strengthen you, teach you, and then they must release you. When they do not, Allah intervenes. Not because He wants to hurt you, but because He refuses to let your growth turn into stagnation. What feels like something being taken away may simply be something no longer permitted to hold you. Ibn ʿArabi explains that Allah never removes what is essential to your journey. He removes what has become obstructive. If a relationship, role, place, or version of yourself begins to anchor you to the past rather than prepare you for what is ahead, its departure is not cruelty, it is alignment. The soul cannot travel far while dragging what belongs to an earlier destination. This is why some endings feel emotionally violent even when they are spiritually correct. The heart grieves familiarity, while the soul exhales relief. You may mourn what was, while simultaneously feeling an unspoken lightness you cannot explain. That lightness is not betrayal of the past. It is confirmation that the soul has been unburdened. Loss only devastates when you believe what left was the source of your worth, security, or meaning. Ibn ʿArabi reminds us that all sources are temporary, but Allah is permanent. When Allah removes a source, He is not reducing you, He is redirecting your reliance. He is teaching the heart where it was leaning too heavily. If you are experiencing something leaving your life right now, resist the urge to immediately label it as tragedy. Sit with the question Ibn ʿArabi would ask: what weight has just been lifted from my soul? You may discover that what departed was not your support but your restraint. What feels like loss to the ego is often release to the soul. 3. The command to go is a form of mercy. One of the most misunderstood truths in the spiritual path is this: mercy does not always arrive as comfort. According to Ibn ʿArabi, some of Allah's greatest acts of mercy arrive disguised as disruption. They arrive when staying would slowly harm the soul, even if leaving feels painful. When Allah commands you to move, it is rarely because you failed. More often, it is because you have completed what was required of you. Remaining beyond that point does not increase reward, it increases risk. The heart begins to harden. Gratitude turns into entitlement. Dependence replaces trust. Ibn ʿArabi explains that Allah intervenes at this stage not to test you, but to preserve you. Many people believe mercy means being allowed to stay where things feel familiar. Ibn ʿArabi teaches the opposite. Sometimes mercy is being removed before comfort turns into complacency, before patience turns into resentment, before love turns into attachment. Allah does not wait until damage is obvious. He moves you while the soul is still salvageable. This is why divine commands to leave often feel abrupt. Mercy does not announce itself. It acts decisively. Allah sees the future of your staying, what it would do to your sincerity, your humility, your dependence on Him. You only see the present discomfort. The command to go is Allah protecting you from a version of yourself you cannot yet imagine. Ibn ʿArabi also warns against interpreting difficulty as abandonment. In reality, stagnation is the greater danger. When Allah allows someone to remain indefinitely in a place that no longer refines them, that is not mercy, it is neglect. Movement, even when painful, is proof of care. This is why those closest to Allah are often moved the most. Their paths are not stable, they are alive. Every transition keeps the heart awake, reliant, and aware. Comfort dulls perception. Movement sharpens it. If Allah is moving you now, do not ask only why it hurts. Ask what He is protecting you from. The command to go is not rejection, it is divine concern. Mercy sometimes whispers, but other times it pushes. And when Allah pushes, It is because staying would cost you more than leaving ever could. 4. Allah moves you when the lesson is complete. One of the deepest principles in the teachings of Ibn Arabi is that nothing in your life is random, and nothing overstays its divine purpose by accident. Every phase you enter is intentional. Every environment you are placed in is chosen. And every season of your life has a specific extraction that Allah intends to take from your soul. Ibn ʿArabi explains that Allah does not design phases for permanence. He designs them for transformation. A phase is not meant to be lived in forever. It is meant to work on you. It is a classroom, not a home. When the lesson is complete, staying longer does not add value. It begins to distort what was learned. This is where many people become spiritually confused. They believe that if something once helped them grow, it must always be good for them. Ibn ʿArabi warns against this thinking. Growth has stages, and each stage requires different conditions. What refined you at one level may restrain you at another. What once softened your heart may later harden it. Allah, in His wisdom, removes you before benefit turns into harm. When the lesson is complete, Allah does not always send an explanation. He sends a signal. Ease disappears. Barakah quietly withdraws. The heart begins to feel restless. The same actions that once felt meaningful now feel heavy. Nothing dramatic happens outwardly, but inwardly everything changes. This is not confusion. It is divine notice that the purpose has been fulfilled. Ibn ʿArabi teaches that Allah is extremely precise in timing. He does not end phases early, and He does not let them run long without reason. If Allah is ending something in your life, it means it has already given you what you needed, even if you cannot yet name it. The fact that you cannot identify the lesson does not mean it was not delivered. Often, the lesson becomes clear only after distance is created. Many people make the mistake of trying to revive what Allah has completed. They pray for the return of ease, the reopening of doors, the restoration of what once was. Ibn ʿArabi calls this a subtle form of resistance, not rebellion but hesitation. The soul already knows the phase is over, but the ego tries to negotiate. Why does Allah move you when the lesson is complete, instead of letting you stay comfortably? Because staying too long creates dependency on the lesson, instead of dependence on Allah. The heart begins to rely on the environment, instead of the one who provided it. When this happens, the lesson itself becomes a veil. Allah removes the veil so the seeker does not mistake the means for the source. This is why the end of a phase often feels unfair. You may feel you were just beginning to understand it. You may feel you could have done more. Ibn ʿArabi reminds us that divine education is not measured by your sense of readiness. It is measured by Allah's knowledge of your inner state. When Allah knows that the phase has already shaped you sufficiently, He ends it, even if you still feel emotionally attached. There is also mercy in this timing. If Allah allowed you to remain after the lesson was complete, you would begin repeating patterns instead of ascending. The same trials would circle back, no longer refining you but exhausting you. The same people would stop teaching you and start draining you. Allah intervenes before growth turns into stagnation. If something in your life has ended or is ending, resist the urge to immediately replace it. Sit with the truth. Ibn ʿArabi teaches, completion feels empty before it feels clear. The space you feel is not loss, it is capacity. Allah removes phases to make room for what belongs to the next level of your journey. When Allah moves you, it is never because you failed to learn. It is because you already did. 5. Resistance is often the ego, not the heart. One of the most subtle teachings in the path of Ibn ʿArabi is learning to distinguish between the voice of the heart and the noise of the ego. Many people believe that resistance automatically means something is wrong. Ibn ʿArabi teaches the opposite. Resistance often appears precisely when something is divinely correct. The heart recognizes truth quickly and quietly. It does not argue, it does not panic, it simply knows. The ego, however, reacts loudly. It fears loss of control, identity, and familiarity. When Allah commands movement, the heart often responds with a calm, unspoken certainty, while the ego responds with anxiety, objections, and endless what-ifs. Most people confuse the ego's fear for spiritual caution. Ibn ʿArabi explains that the ego thrives on continuity. It wants the story to remain stable because stability preserves identity. Even if the identity is painful, it is known. Change threatens the ego because it dissolves labels. Who you were, how you were seen, where you belonged. The ego would rather suffer in familiarity than surrender to the unknown. The heart, on the other hand, is not attached to identity. It is attached to truth. This is why resistance often intensifies right before a necessary transition. You may find yourself rationalizing why you should stay, even though something inside you has already disengaged. You replay memories, exaggerate risks, and cling to old meanings. Ibn ʿArabi calls this the ego's last defense, confusing attachment with wisdom. True spiritual caution brings peace, not paralysis. When the heart hesitates, it does so gently. When the ego resists, it does so with urgency and fear. The ego speaks in extremes: disaster, regret, collapse. The heart speaks in quiet alignment. Learning to tell the difference is a major step in spiritual maturity. Ibn ʿArabi also teaches that the ego often disguises itself as responsibility, loyalty, or patience. It says, "You owe this place more time," or "Leaving now would be ungrateful," or "Endure a little longer." These statements can sound virtuous, but they are not always true. Patience is a virtue only when Allah is still working in the place. When Allah has completed the work, patience turns into disobedience through delay. Another sign of ego-based resistance is exhaustion. When the soul has already accepted the divine command, but the ego continues to fight it, the inner state becomes heavy. You feel drained without effort, tired without work, restless without reason. Ibn ʿArabi explains that this exhaustion comes from trying to hold two opposing realities at once: the soul moving forward and the ego pulling backward. Letting go does not mean the heart feels nothing. Grief can exist alongside obedience. Fear can exist alongside trust. What matters is which voice you follow. The ego demands certainty before movement. The heart moves because it recognizes the one who commands, even without certainty. Ibn ʿArabi teaches that surrender is not weakness, it is intelligence. It is the recognition that Allah sees the full map, while you see only the step in front of you. When resistance arises, the question is not, "Why am I afraid?" but "Who is speaking right now?" If you listen closely, you will notice that the heart does not argue for staying. It simply falls silent when the truth is clear. The noise you hear is not spiritual warning, it is the ego negotiating relevance. When Allah says go, the heart bows. Only the ego debates. 6. When Allah says go, He has already prepared the path. One of the most comforting yet demanding truths taught by Ibn ʿArabi is this: Allah never commands movement without arranging arrival. To the human mind, this sounds idealistic. To the spiritual path, it is law. The fear you feel about what comes next does not mean nothing is prepared. It only means you are not meant to see it yet. Ibn ʿArabi explains that Allah operates through hidden order. What appears to you as uncertainty is, in reality, a carefully aligned sequence unfolding beyond your sight. The command to go does not come from a place of improvisation. It comes from complete knowledge of where you are being sent, what you will need there, and who you must become to receive it. The reason the path is concealed is intentional. If you saw everything ahead, you would rely on the path instead of relying on Allah. Certainty would shift from trust to planning. Ibn ʿArabi teaches that Allah often removes visible guarantees, so the heart remains anchored to Him alone. This is not deprivation, it is refinement of faith. Many people hesitate to move because they do not see replacement. They ask, what will take its place? Ibn ʿArabi would respond that replacement is not your responsibility. Obedience is. The moment you accept the command, the unseen begins to organize itself around you. Provision, connections, clarity, and stability often appear only after the step is taken, not before. This is why divine movement often feels reckless to the intellect but correct to the soul. The intellect wants contracts, assurances, and timelines. The soul wants alignment. Ibn ʿArabi teaches that Allah trains the seeker to move with Him, not ahead of Him. If you wait to feel secure before obeying, you invert the order of trust. There is also protection in this hiddenness. If Allah revealed the entire path, you might run toward it with arrogance, believing you earned it. Or you might retreat in fear, overwhelmed by its magnitude. By revealing only what is necessary, Allah preserves humility and courage simultaneously. You walk forward, step by step, dependent but not paralyzed. Another truth Ibn ʿArabi emphasizes is that preparation is often internal before it is external. Allah may strip you of certainty, comfort, or identity, not to leave you exposed, but to make you light enough to move. What you call loss of control may actually be the final preparation for arrival. Many people believe preparation means gathering resources, clarity, and confidence. Ibn ʿArabi teaches that divine preparation often looks like surrender, vulnerability, and trust. The tools you need at the next stage are not always physical. They are states of the heart. Allah shapes these before opening the door. If Allah is calling you to leave something familiar and you feel unready, understand this. Feeling unready is not a sign of failure. It is often a sign that reliance is shifting from yourself to Allah. That shift is the real preparation. The path ahead does not need your certainty. It needs your obedience. When Allah says go, the destination is already waiting. 7. The pain of leaving is proof you were real. One of the most humane and profound insights in the teachings of Ibn ʿArabi is that pain is not always a sign of error. In fact, the pain of leaving is often evidence of sincerity. If departure hurts, it means your presence was genuine. You were not passing time. You were invested. You gave something real. Many people assume that if Allah commands you to leave, the process should feel clean and painless. Ibn ʿArabi corrects this misunderstanding. Spiritual obedience does not erase emotion, it orders it. Grief can coexist with alignment. Sadness can exist alongside trust. The absence of pain would suggest detachment, not depth. Pain emerges when love and purpose once overlapped. When something mattered, it leaves an imprint. Ibn ʿArabi teaches that the soul records these imprints not as wounds, but as proofs of participation. You showed up fully. You did not protect yourself by staying distant. The ache you feel now is not weakness, it is evidence of presence. There is a danger in trying to bypass this pain by labeling it as doubt or disobedience. Ibn ʿArabi warns against spiritualizing numbness. Some people suppress grief in the name of faith, believing that obedience requires emotional erasure. In reality, suppression creates fragmentation. The heart must be allowed to feel what the soul has completed. The pain of leaving also reveals something important: what you are capable of carrying forward. You do not take the place with you, but you take what it awakened in you: compassion, strength, awareness, humility. These qualities are not lost, they are harvested. The ache is the final extraction of meaning. Ibn ʿArabi teaches that Allah does not remove meaning when He removes a phase. Meaning is internalized. What remains behind is form. When form dissolves, emotion rises. That emotion is the soul integrating what it has learned. This is why rushing the grieving process creates confusion. The heart needs time to convert experience into wisdom. Another layer of pain comes from recognition. Leaving forces you to acknowledge that something beautiful had an ending. The ego resists this because it equates endings with failure. Ibn ʿArabi reframes endings as completion, not collapse. The pain is not about defeat, it is about closure. If leaving did not hurt at all, you would have to ask whether you were ever truly present. Comfort without attachment leaves no mark. Depth always does. The fact that you feel something now means you allowed yourself to be transformed by where you were. That transformation remains, even as the setting changes. Ibn ʿArabi also teaches that Allah honors sincerity by allowing grief. He does not rush the heart when it is closing a door with dignity. Tears do not delay destiny. They cleanse the passage between stages. What matters is that grief does not become an argument for staying. You are not betraying what was by leaving it. You are honoring it by not pretending it did not matter. The pain of leaving is not proof that you are lost. It is proof that you were real. 8. Some doors close quietly on purpose. In the teachings of Ibn ʿArabi, one of the most disorienting moments on the spiritual path is not when something collapses loudly, but when it ends without noise. No argument, no explosion, no visible catastrophe. Just a subtle withdrawal of life, meaning, and barakah. This quiet ending confuses people because the ego expects divine decisions to announce themselves dramatically. Ibn ʿArabi teaches that the opposite is often true. Allah closes some doors softly so the seeker is not distracted by drama. Noise invites obsession. Conflict keeps the ego engaged. A loud ending tempts you to argue, explain, defend, or relive the moment endlessly. A quiet ending offers no such hooks. It leaves you alone with a single truth. This no longer opens. Many people wait for permission to leave that never comes in the form they expect. They look for a final conversation, a clear sign, a visible betrayal, or a moment that justifies departure. Ibn ʿArabi warns that waiting for chaos as validation is a mistake. When Allah wants to move someone who is sincere, He often removes the desire to stay, rather than creating a reason to flee. Quiet closures protect the heart. If Allah were to expose every reason, flaw, or hidden truth behind a closed door, the seeker might leave with bitterness instead of wisdom. Silence preserves dignity. It allows you to exit without poisoning your memory of what once served you. This is mercy disguised as ambiguity. Ibn ʿArabi explains that when Allah withdraws presence from a place, the soul feels it before the intellect can explain it. Prayer feels dry, effort feels heavy, inspiration fades, not because you did something wrong, but because Allah has finished working with you there. The door is no longer hostile, it is simply inactive. No resistance, no invitation. This is one of the hardest endings to accept because nothing is visibly broken. Outsiders may tell you that you are imagining things. They may say, "Nothing happened," or "Why leave now?" Ibn ʿArabi teaches that not everything that ends is meant to be understood publicly. Some endings are private communications between Allah and the heart. There is also protection in quiet endings. Loud endings create narratives. Narratives create identities. You become the one who was wronged, the one who escaped, or the one who survived. Quiet endings leave no story to perform. They free you from defining yourself by what ended. You are simply someone who moved when the signal arrived. Another reason Allah closes doors quietly is to test sincerity. If there is no visible reward, no validation, no applause for leaving, will you still obey? Ibn Arabi teaches that the purest obedience is movement without witnesses. When no one understands why you left, and you leave anyway, the act is for Allah alone. Quiet endings also prevent unnecessary attachment to explanations. The mind loves reasons because reasons feel like control. Ibn ʿArabi reminds us that certainty does not come from explanations, it comes from alignment. When Allah closes a door quietly, He is training the seeker to trust internal clarity over external justification. There is a subtle grief that comes with silent closures. It is not dramatic sorrow. It is a gentle ache of recognition. Something meaningful has ended, but it did not betray you. It did not collapse. It simply completed its role. This kind of grief is clean. It does not distort the heart. It deepens it. If you are experiencing a quiet ending right now, resist the urge to force meaning or provoke conflict just to feel justified. Do not reopen doors Allah has already closed, simply because the closure felt too calm to be real. Silence is not absence. In the spiritual path, silence is often finality. Ibn ʿArabi teaches that the clearest sign a door has closed is not opposition, but indifference. When you stop knocking, not because you are hurt, but because you are done, the message has already been delivered. Some doors close loudly to protect you from harm. Some doors close quietly to protect your heart. 9. Staying too long can delay destiny. One of the most unsettling teachings in the path of Ibn ʿArabi is this: obedience delayed can become destiny delayed. Many people believe that staying longer is a form of patience, loyalty, or wisdom. Ibn ʿArabi warns that this belief can quietly trap the seeker between two worlds, no longer nourished by where they are, yet not receiving what awaits them ahead. Destiny, in Ibn Arabi's view, is not a single event waiting at the end of life. It is a sequence of unveilings that require movement at precise moments. Each stage prepares the soul for the next disclosure. When the command to move arrives and is ignored, the chain does not break, but it pauses. The soul waits. The unveiling waits. Life feels suspended, repetitive, strangely stagnant. This is why some people feel as though they are circling the same problems despite effort and sincerity. They pray, reflect, and strive, yet nothing truly opens. Ibn ʿArabi would say, the work is not failing, the location is expired. You cannot receive the provision of the next stage while standing in the environment of the previous one. Staying too long often feels safe because it preserves identity. You know who you are here, you know your role, you know how things work. Destiny, however, often requires surrendering that familiarity. It requires becoming a beginner again. Ibn ʿArabi teaches that Allah does not reveal higher realities to a heart that refuses to leave its old definitions. There is also a spiritual cost to overstaying. What once refined, the soul begins to dull it. The same lessons repeat, not because Allah insists, but because the seeker has not moved to the next classroom. Trials begin to feel recycled. Inspiration fades. Prayer feels mechanical. These are not signs of abandonment, they are signs of misalignment. Ibn ʿArabi explains that Allah's mercy sometimes manifests as delay, not denial. When a seeker hesitates at the edge of transition, Allah may withhold the next opening not as punishment, but as invitation. The delay asks a single question: will you trust me enough to move without guarantees? Many people misunderstand this delay and respond by trying harder in the wrong place. They increase effort, patience, and endurance, believing virtue lies in staying. Ibn ʿArabi would say that virtue lies in precision. Endurance is noble only when Allah has not finished with you there. Once the command has arrived, endurance becomes attachment. Another danger of overstaying is that destiny does not wait indefinitely. Opportunities align with inner states. If the heart grows accustomed to resisting movement, it may miss subtle openings when they appear. Ibn ʿArabi warns that repeated hesitation trains the soul to distrust its own recognition of divine signals. Eventually, clarity dulls. Leaving at the right moment is not abandonment of responsibility. It is obedience to timing. The Prophet, peace be upon him, did not remain in Mecca indefinitely. Hijrah was not escape, it was alignment with destiny. Ibn ʿArabi draws from this principle. Movement at the appointed time unlocks what patience alone cannot. If you feel that your life is paused, repetitive, or strangely muted despite sincerity, ask yourself a difficult question. Am I waiting for permission Allah has already given? Destiny does not shout. It opens when the seeker steps forward. Ibn ʿArabi teaches that Allah's gifts are often location-specific. What is written for you may not be accessible from where you insist on standing. Movement is not impatience. It is recognition. Staying when Allah has said go does not preserve destiny. It postpones it. 10. Packing your bags is an inner act before it is an outer one. One of the most easily overlooked teachings in the path of Ibn ʿArabi is that movement begins inside long before it appears outside. Many people wait for their circumstances to change before they allow their hearts to let go. Ibn ʿArabi teaches the opposite. Allah first removes attachment, then He removes location. If the heart does not move, the body will resist, no matter how clear the command becomes. Packing your bags is not primarily about geography, relationships, or roles. It is about detachment. It is about releasing the emotional contracts you silently signed with a phase of your life. Long before Allah moves you physically, He loosens your grip internally. You begin to care less. You stop defending what once mattered. You feel less urgency to fix, explain, or prove. This quiet detachment is the true beginning of departure. Many people misunderstand this stage and panic. They think they are becoming cold, ungrateful, or disconnected. Ibn ʿArabi clarifies that this is not emotional decay, it is spiritual readiness. Allah would not move a heart still tightly fused to its environment. Detachment is mercy. It prevents tearing. What releases gently leaves with dignity. This inner packing often feels confusing because nothing external has changed yet. You may still be in the same place, surrounded by the same people, performing the same actions, but internally, the weight is gone. The enthusiasm has faded. The emotional glue has dissolved. Ibn ʿArabi teaches that Allah removes dependence before He removes proximity. This is how the soul is trained not to collapse when the external shift finally happens. There is also a deeper reason for this internal movement. If Allah moved you outwardly before detaching you inwardly, you would carry the old phase into the new one. You would recreate the same dynamics in a different setting. Ibn ʿArabi warns that unprocessed attachment does not disappear with relocation, it travels. Allah therefore cleans the heart first, so the next phase is not contaminated by the residue of the previous one. Packing your bags internally also means releasing identities. Who you were in that phase cannot fully exist in the next. Titles, roles, reputations, and narratives often belong to specific seasons. Ibn ʿArabi teaches that Allah strips these identities quietly so the seeker does not confuse self-worth with position. When the heart lets go of who it was, it becomes available for who it must become. This is why internal detachment can feel like emptiness. Something familiar has dissolved, but nothing has replaced it yet. The ego hates this space. and rushes to fill it. Ibn ʿArabi teaches that this emptiness is sacred. It is a holding space. Allah creates it intentionally, so the heart does not cling prematurely to substitutes. What feels like absence is actually preparation. Another sign that internal packing has begun is silence. You stop arguing internally. The endless mental debates quiet down. You may still feel emotion, but you no longer negotiate with reality. Ibn ʿArabi describes this as submission without drama. The heart recognizes that the decision has already been made at a level deeper than thought. Importantly, internal packing does not mean indifference. You may still love, respect, and honor what you are leaving. Detachment is not denial of value. It is release of ownership. Ibn ʿArabi teaches that you can carry gratitude without carrying obligation. You can honor the past without living inside it. If you attempt to move externally without this internal readiness, the transition becomes violent. There is resistance, regret, and fragmentation. Allah's method is gentler. He prepares the heart so that when the external movement happens, it feels inevitable rather than shocking. You may still grieve, but you will not be lost. If you sense that your heart has already left before your body has, do not rush to correct it. Do not shame yourself for feeling done. According to Ibn ʿArabi, this is not ingratitude, it is alignment. Allah is making the move survivable. Packing your bags begins when attachment loosens, not when doors close. By the time Allah moves you outwardly, the soul has already been ready for a while. The heart leaves first. The body follows. 11. Not everyone is meant to follow you. One of the most difficult truths in the teachings of Ibn ʿArabi is accepting that divine movement is not democratic. When Allah moves you, He does not move everyone with you. This is not because others are wrong, inferior, or rejected, but because paths are assigned individually, not collectively. Many people struggle at this stage because they confuse spiritual growth with loyalty. They believe that if Allah is guiding them forward, everyone who shared the previous phase should naturally come along. Ibn ʿArabi dismantles this assumption. He teaches that companionship belongs to stages, not destinations. Some souls walk with you only long enough to awaken a certain quality within you. Once that quality is formed, the companionship has fulfilled its purpose. This realization often hurts more than leaving a place. Letting go of people forces the heart to confront attachment, expectations, and imagined futures. Ibn ʿArabi explains that pain arises when we assign permanence to what was only meant to be supportive for a season. The soul, however, recognizes timing with precision. When a bond no longer facilitates growth, Allah gently loosens it. Not everyone can follow you, because not everyone is meant to see what you are being shown. Divine unveilings require readiness. Some paths demand solitude. Some require a stripping away of familiar mirrors, so the seeker learns to stand before Allah without borrowed reflections. Ibn ʿArabi teaches that Allah often removes companions to purify intention. When no one understands your movement, obedience becomes sincere. This is also where many seekers hesitate. They fear being misunderstood, judged, or abandoned. They worry that leaving others behind makes them disloyal or arrogant. Ibn ʿArabi is clear. Obedience is not arrogance, and separation is not betrayal. You are not required to shrink your destiny to preserve comfort for others. There is also mercy for those who do not follow. Each soul has its own curriculum. Forcing someone to walk a path they are not prepared for can harm them. Ibn ʿArabi teaches that Allah protects people by not calling them until their capacity matches the demand. Silence is sometimes protection, not exclusion. Another painful layer of this lesson is realizing that some people will misunderstand your departure. They may rewrite your motives, question your sincerity, or reduce your movement to ego or escapism. Ibn ʿArabi teaches that this misunderstanding is part of the test. If you require validation to obey, you are still attached to perception. When you move without explanation, the act becomes purified of audience. It is important to understand that not everyone who stays behind is left behind. Some remain because their role is there. Others will move later by a different door at a different time. Ibn ʿArabi warns against ranking journeys. Movement is not a competition. Staying can be obedience just as leaving can be obedience. What matters is responding to the command given to you. This lesson also reveals something about identity. When companions change, the self-image that depended on them dissolves. You may no longer be the same person in the same way. Ibn ʿArabi teaches that Allah removes mirrors, so the seeker learns who they are without reinforcement. This can feel lonely, but it is a necessary stage of maturation. If you are being moved and notice that others cannot or will not come with you, do not force alignment, do not over-explain, do not carry guilt. Bless them inwardly and continue forward. The Prophet, peace be upon him, experienced this reality repeatedly. Guidance does not obligate agreement. Some people walk with you to teach you love, some to teach you patience, some to teach you letting go, and some are meant to stay behind so you can learn to walk with Allah alone. Not everyone is meant to follow you, but everyone you met was meant to shape you. 12. When Allah says, "Go," trust is the provision. The final lesson in the path described by Ibn ʿArabi is the most demanding and the most liberating. When Allah commands you to go, trust itself becomes your provision. Not clarity, not certainty, not guarantees. Trust. Human beings are conditioned to believe that provision comes in visible forms: money, plans, approvals, stability, and reassurance. Ibn ʿArabi dismantles this assumption at its root. He teaches that there are moments on the spiritual path where Allah intentionally removes visible provision, so the heart learns what sustains it when nothing else does. At these moments, trust is no longer a virtue. It is the fuel. When Allah says go, He often withholds details. This is not neglect, it is precision. If you were given the full picture, you might rely on the picture instead of the one who authored it. Ibn ʿArabi explains that Allah conceals outcomes so the heart remains alive, awake, and attached to Him rather than to expectations. What you cannot predict, you must entrust. This is why the final stage of departure feels the most vulnerable. You may have released attachment, accepted loss, endured solitude, and obeyed movement, yet still feel exposed. Ibn ʿArabi teaches that this exposure is intentional. Allah is not testing your strength, He is refining your reliance. The heart that can walk without guarantees is a heart that has truly learned tawakkul. Trust, in this sense, is not blind optimism. It is recognition of the one who commands. Ibn ʿArabi makes a critical distinction. Trusting Allah does not mean believing everything will be easy. It means believing nothing will be wasted. Even confusion becomes instruction. Even delay becomes placement. Even fear becomes a means of humility. Many people want trust to feel peaceful before they move. Ibn ʿArabi reverses the order. Trust often arrives after obedience, not before it. You step forward while trembling, and the ground forms beneath your feet only once you commit your weight. This is not cruelty, it is training. A heart that needs reassurance before obedience is still attached to outcomes. There is also a stripping that happens at this stage. Allah may remove your usual supports, people who encouraged you, roles that affirmed you, routines that stabilized you. Ibn ʿArabi teaches that Allah sometimes isolates the seeker at the edge of transition so that trust is not shared, diluted, or outsourced. When there is no one left to lean on, reliance becomes pure. This purity of trust transforms the seeker. You stop asking, "What if this fails?" and begin asking, "What is Allah teaching me through this?" The question shifts from survival to meaning. Fear loses its authority because it no longer defines the destination. Trust does not eliminate fear, but it places fear in its proper position, secondary, not sovereign. Another dimension of this lesson is timing. Trust means accepting that arrival may not look like your imagination. Ibn ʿArabi teaches that Allah's destinations are often subtler and deeper than what the ego desires. If you cling to a specific outcome, you may miss the real opening because it arrives without familiar packaging. Trust keeps the heart open to receiving what it did not script. Trust also preserves dignity. When you move because Allah said go, not because circumstances forced you, you walk with integrity. Even if the road is hard, you are not desperate, you are aligned. Ibn ʿArabi teaches that alignment carries a quiet strength that chaos cannot imitate. The soul that trusts does not rush, beg, or collapse. It walks. If you are standing at the edge of a transition with nothing solid to hold on to, understand this. You are not unprepared. You are being asked to carry the only provision that will not expire. Plans change. Resources fluctuate. People come and go. Trust, once rooted, sustains through all of it. When Allah says go, He is not asking you to know where. He is asking you to know who. Trust is not what you bring after the journey begins. It is what allows the journey to begin at all. And when trust becomes your provision, every step, seen or unseen, becomes enough. If this message reached you, do not rush to act, and do not rush to doubt it. Some truths are not meant to be debated. They are meant to be recognized. According to Ibn ʿArabi, when Allah ends a phase, He does not ask for your approval. He asks for your trust. You may not see the full path. You may not understand the timing. But if your heart already knows it cannot stay, the decision has been made at a level deeper than thought. Do not mourn what released you. Do not cling to what has completed its role. And do not confuse hesitation with wisdom. If Allah said pack your bags, then staying is no longer faith. Movement is. Where you are being sent does not require your certainty. It requires your surrender. And when you walk with trust, every step becomes guided, even before you know the destination. Go gently, go sincerely, and go knowing this. Allah does not move you away from something without moving you toward Himself.